And about week 4, he brought in some costumers. And then they were like, and now you have to sign these NDAs. And then they brought out the Darth Vader helmet. And I was like, I mean, my soul must have left my body for a minute. But I was like,
seriously?
What?
Hey y'all, welcome to Tea with Paul G, the talk show where we encourage everyone to do what you love, do good for others, and have fun. Two things I love are having tea and catching up with my friends, so here we are. The iced tea hottie joining me today is a performer who is not afraid to play the baddie, having made a career out of playing various thugs, villains, and enforcers. And it's easy to see why he's cast that way, standing at 6'4", weighing in at 225 pounds, but having known this guy for over a decade, I can spoil that reputation and tell you that most of that weight is probably just this big old heart of gold. And it's a good thing the melting point of gold is 1,948 degrees, because this guy just spent a lot of time on the lava planet of Mustafar. That's right, he is the lightsaber-wielding double for Darth Vader on the hit series Obi-Wan Kenobi. So without further ado, Mr. Tom O'Connell, it is tea time, sir.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely, sir. Oh, we're sipping. I love it.
Yeah, sip. When I sip, you sip, we sip. It's good, right?
It's really good.
Do you drink tea often? You responded like almost immediately, Earl Grey.
We're from the South, right? So
well, iced tea.
Tea is a staple,
yeah.
right?
I guess I think of the transition from this to that.
Yeah, it's usually, I guess it's just black tea they use in the South. But
yeah, and that's what it is. It's black tea flavored with bergamot oil.
Yeah,
my favorite.
I love it. So iced tea, it's good for me.
Good for yeah, hey, getting in on the rhymes and throwing a tea in there. That's what we're all about here.
I'm ready.
Well, let's get right into it. We're gonna jump into our segment, Spill the Tea. And with this one, I like to ask, do you remember how we met?
I believe we met in Alabama on a short film called Lumberjack. And you played Ronald?
Ronald, yep.
A yuppie. Yeah, a yuppie is probably the best description
of it. That was fun.
Yeah. I was the producer, and I was like a side bit character, right? Like
you were the deputy, I believe.
Yeah. I was the cop. Yeah.
So what
didn't
we
have
say,
this beard. I should have just got a cool cop mustache for that. But
why didn't you bring the cool cop mustache today?
Miles Teller's doing a great job in Top Gun.
Yeah, this is true. I've been watching him on The Offer. You know what else I've been watching?
What?
Take a guess.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, baby. All right, so you know I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. Darth Vader is one of my favorite characters. This is hard, a hard secret to keep for a long time.
You are telling me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean, of course, for you. I'm just like, you know.
There was you, Barry, my now fiance, my family. I waited to actually tell my family just because I know my sisters have big mouths. And
they're proud of you. And they're proud of you. It's hard to, right?
Yeah, it was a very hard secret to keep.
You mentioned your fiance, and has there been really a major announcement, or is this another exclusive?
Yeah, that would be an exclusive. I mean, the people closest know, obviously, but publicly, no, I guess nobody's heard that just yet.
How many times have you called her Padme?
Never.
I know.
That would get me in trouble.
Just throwing it out there. I don't know that that's a relationship dynamic to model.
No, not that one.
I want to talk more about Darth Vader.
Please do.
What was that experience like? What did you feel first time you stepped into the suit? Not whatever was rehearsal or anything like that. The suit.
The suit. Okay. The suit itself, I'll even give you a little prelude, is we were fitted custom for the suit. Yeah. So that was a whole thing of going through the tailoring process and a lot of Q&A. You know, the costumes department was so great that they were very considerate of, you know, is this okay for the movement you're gonna do? So I would do some of the choreography when I was doing the fittings and stuff. The first night I actually tried on the costume. I think I was the first performer to actually try it on and wear it on set.
Nice.
It was one of the first fight sequences in episode 3. You know, you walk on set and it's kind of an amazing reaction to just watch everybody kind of like straighten up like you're gonna choke them all of a sudden or something, right?
It's a very... they're in that little village, it's likely to happen.
I obviously was nervous. I was about to have a fight scene with Ewan McGregor and as Obi-Wan, and it's hard not to like, you look in his eyes when he's holding the saber at you, and it's almost like you get caught up. I mean,
of course.
He's a handsome man, let's just say that, obviously.
Well, yeah, but also like, this is happening.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, it's Obi-Wan. What's the meme right now? It's like, that's effing Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Like, I was like really like drawn into the experience of it. But you know, once you kind of get into the choreo, we had rehearsed it so much at that point that it was just like kind of old hat, but there's new variables all the time. I mean, I tell the story that, you know, the lenses are like this dark red amber kind of color, and we shot outdoor at a rock quarry. And all they had to light the scene was this balloon up on a condor crane, you know, that was a couple 100 feet in the air. And then with the helmet on and everything else, they yell action. And the lenses immediately fogged over as I started breathing heavy. And right away it was like, imagine yourself in a pitch black room and somebody's just waving a fluorescent bulb around in front of you. Thank God we had lightsabers that actually did light up.
Yeah.
But it was kind of hard to like chase around that light, and I was praying to God I didn't hit Ewan McGregor.
Of course. It's a weird role reversal because that episode 3 where Darth Vader shows up and they have their first encounter. I mean, that sounds like what Obi-Wan's experience was, you know, with the lightsaber back and forth. And the actor inside the Darth Vader suit had the same experience. I love that.
Absolutely, yes.
But speaking of the actor inside the Darth Vader suit, it's a fun precedent for Darth Vader, that character. He's always played by multiple people. You go back in the day, David Prowse, the performance artist. Then you had James Earl Jones doing the voice. You had Bob Anderson doing the sword fighting. You had Sebastian Shaw was the face. I mean, I guess we throw Ben Burton there for that amazing. Like the breathing is he's the editor. The breathing is as much about it as anything. That's a part of that character. I was curious. Like my understanding is you all shared some roles, but was there ever any idea that there would only be one stunt person or one performance artist to do everything?
Not to my knowledge. You know, the other guys involved, obviously Hayden Christensen, Demetrius Bastrovsky. Demetrius is a super sweet guy. He's, you think I have a big heart. This guy's got a huge heart, but he's 6'7" and goes about 250. So he's much more in line with the actual a physical body type of a David Prowse, right? Yeah. He had this grace that, quite frankly, I just don't have. I'm a Neanderthal, you know. I'm a weapons. I'm a thug, like you said. I mean, you don't give yourself enough credit. I'm talking about I'll say this: he has a body control and a grace that I think I'm not going to say I was lacking it per se, but I'm just going to say he brought that life to Vader. So when you see those wide shots, or you see him, you know, walking through the halls or pacing somebody down, like he has such a great bearing for the character, and the body control he has lent to a lot of those subtleties. You know, one of the things is you don't actually say the lines, right? In the helmet, we found out early on, like in our rehearsals, that as you say the lines, the dialogue, like the chin would waggle and the whole helmet would kind of do this little bobblehead thing, which wasn't good for camera, of course, and kind of distracted from that overall stoic nature that Vader has. Yeah. So we had another gentleman named Dorian off stage that was actually reading the lines, and those two probably had it harder than me. They had to sync up. It's really hard to listen to a line and at the same time provide like a subtle chin tilt or a head nod or whatever it is that Vader was doing in that scene. So for those two to have that chemistry was great. So for the movement aspect of it, you know, for myself, for Hayden, and for Demetrius, we worked with a movement coach, Olga Sokolova. She was a ballet dancer and a gymnastics a performer by trade. Sort of the beauty of it all, right, is, you know, there's a lot of people online saying, well, oh, it's a shame that Hayden didn't do this, or that that's Tom, or that that's Demetrius. But the really sort of beautiful part of it is I don't even know which parts were me, and I don't know. And there's certain parts, obviously, where I'm like, I know as I was the only guy doing that fight choreography. But there's other parts that it's really hard to tell, because the through line, the continuity, if you will, was Olga. She was able to take us all down to our baseline of movement, and then make sure that my force push looked like his force push and looked like Hayden's force push. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. I mean, the fact that she was able to do that, and that it came across on screen so that a lot of times I can't tell which is which, is really saying something.
I want to ask you about that fight in episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. People were like, they thought this or that about it. Not in opinions, but about the emotion behind it. Sure. My impression, the way I took it, Obi just was out of his mind, just like, what is happening? But Vader, I felt like, to me, like he was just kind of toying with him and enjoying that dominance over him.
Absolutely. There was a conscientious effort to make sure that the intention behind that was, this is not a fight. This is a beating. And this is a just an exhibition of power, right? Everybody noticed, right? It was all one-handed. Obviously, if you've seen the series, you know, right? In that point in the story, Obi-Wan's been disconnected from the Force now by choice for 10 years because he wanted to remain anonymous and unknown. Right. And so because of that, it's like a muscle, right? It's like it hasn't been exercised in 10 years and therefore it's not there. Mm-hmm. And so even choosing to light his lightsaber and present that challenge, if you will, right? It was a distraction. It was also that now everyone knows again, Leia and Tala could escape.
Spoiler alert, by the way, guys.
Spoiler alert, sorry. This was all an effort so that Tala and Leia could get away.
Right.
So he knew very well what the intention of this was. It was never necessarily to put up a fight. It was the bait and switch, right? It was just take his attention for a little bit.
The one-handed fight, too, for me, I immediately thought of Empire Strikes Back when he fights Luke. No contest. He didn't even need to. What was the actual conversation about Deborah saying about, like, you know, it's a beating, not a fight, but, like, what was your guys discussing? Because you told me that she was amazing to work with and she had great insight.
I wish I wasn't as nervous and I probably would have remembered it better, but I will recount my version of it, which is it was a rabid dog going after the rabbit. You know, it was an absolute, they were, if there was a note, it was, keep chasing him, go after him, like force him back. Don't let it be a battle at all in that there's give and take or any offense on his part. He is completely on the defense. This is a complete pursuit, and it's a hungry dog going after the bone. You know, there's nothing there that he can do. If there were any notes that I remember, it was definitely like, stay in pursuit, go as fast as you can. And it was hard sometimes to keep up with him. Like, Ewan's so great as both a fight partner and as an actor, obviously. But he was so good at his retreat that often I was like, slow down. You know, I was like jogging after him, trying to
coming in this armor.
Yeah.
Then I believe it was episode 5 where he comes again and gets to fight Reva.
Reva, yes.
That's how we love our Vader, you know. Rage and just that ultimate power. It did a great job of conveying that she's not on his level.
No.
She's good at what she does, but she ain't Vader. No. Vader was never worried in that moment. It was like he intentionally was like, I'm going to let her think she has a chance.
Yes. That is definitely playing with it. You know. An animal playing with its food is what it is, yeah. But to be a part of that and to lend something to it was so fulfilling.
Of course.
When you're a stunt performer and you're on the core fight team or you're on the core team, a lot of times you're doing everything, you know?
So it's very much a team effort where it's like, where you need me hop in, I'm there for you.
Absolutely.
You appear in episode 2, I think, as a Zabrak.
Yes, episode 2 as a Zabrak.
It's not just within this series, like you did some work on Mando.
Yes, I did.
Which is awesome. Is it that family that a director that was on one of the other shows says, yeah, let's bring him over to this? Like, how did you end up getting to the place where they're like, yeah, Tom for Vader, let's look at that?
So the one thing I can say, and this is my huge recommendation to anyone in any industry really, is stay humble, be kind, and work your butt off. And
that's you, man.
I will tell you. So the way, this is the origin story of Tom O'Connell as Vader. So years ago, our mutual friend Barry Battles directed a film called The Baytown Outlaws.
Oh, yeah.
And I did my very first stunt job in that film. And that led me sort of tumbling into a couple other roles, grown, as a stunt performer on a movie called Bullets to the Head. And I did previs for a guy named Don Tirada. So this was a fight between ultimately Jason Momoa and Sylvester Stallone. And so in the previs, I played Momoa's character, and it was an axe fight, and so there was a lot of like similar movements, right? Slashes and cuts and whatever. Fast forward about 10 years or so, Jojo Eusebio, our stunt coordinator, is doing the Matrix 4 over in Berlin with Don Tirada. And they were looking for a guy who could be big and move well. And I got the call from another guy named Matt Emig, who is JoJo's assistant, another very, very talented stunt performer, and said, hey, we'd like to bring you in for this audition, for this Disney show it's a Star Wars show. And, I mean, I was broadly aware of what was going on in the Star Wars universe with Mandalorian and everything, but I didn't know what it was for.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I go in there, and it's sword work, and I was like super hyped because I was like, my God, I'm doing stuff with a saber. That means it's going to be a lightsaber. I'm
going to be a Jedi.
But I had no, yeah, I legitimately thought like it's going to be some Jedi character or whatever, I don't know. And then it was probably about 3 or 4 weeks in to these auditions. We did it at least once a week, maybe twice a week. We were doing like training / audition stuff. And
so that's a lot of callbacks, so to speak.
Yeah. JoJo was training me alone in a sound stage that was massive, you know, on the Manhattan Beach studio lot. And about week 4, he brought in some costumers. And then they were like, and now you have to sign these NDAs. And then they brought out the Darth Vader helmet. And I was like, I mean, my soul must have left my body for a minute. But I was like,
seriously?
What?
I think he's the #1 most recognizable villain in the world.
That was not lost on us. We all put in an immense amount of time out of nothing else more than a healthy dose of fear and respect, right? It was like, if you screw it up, everybody in the fandom is going to let you know, and loudly. But also, it was the respect. I mean, I think any artist worth their salt knows that attention to the devil's in the details, right? It's like, you need to pay attention to these things. And if it had been any other role, we would have done the same thing, right? But there is that extra bit of weight of, you know where the story was left off and you know where it's going, so you better pay attention to what the guys did before you, and you better lend a little bit to where the story is going, because you have to be that connective tissue in this particular story.
It's a huge thing.
Like, there were times, you know, in between lighting setups or whatever it was, where I would sit down and it was like a little bit of a have to pinch myself, but a little bit also of like, I would just well up. I would be like, I cannot believe that this is what I'm doing right now. And everyone around is bustling, you know, the hundreds of crew people that actually make a movie come together. There's so many people that were paying equal amounts of detailed attention to making sure that the rocks, you know, the sand was raked the right way, and that the placement of plants and rocks and everything was just so. And it was really a beautiful thing to watch and marvel at. And so I tried to take as much advantage as I could. You know, we only get a chance in life to do things once a lot of times, most of the time. And so I made it a concerted effort that when I had those moments to breathe, that I was able to sit down and just say, take this in. It's not always going to be like this. Yeah. You may never get to do this again, so you better pay attention to what you're doing right now. And it was just rewarding is the right word, the single word to say it all without being too long-winded.
Yeah, we should roll on into the next segment, which is, of course, Positivity. One of the things you already did, which is great, is give some good advice. So maybe tell us about the best advice you've ever been given.
I remember very specifically this article I read that was, I think it was a book that someone had written, and the article was just snippets of it, of people who were either terminally ill or at that stage of their life, senior citizens, you know, whatever, advice they would give their younger selves.
Wow.
And this young woman had gone out on this quest to sort of write this book, and it was a very beautiful and telling sort of book of life advice is what it ended up being. And it was just this collection of thoughts of take advantage of the moment, dance more, dance the dance, sing the song, do the thing. Like, don't wait for things to happen, because if you're in this state of waiting, you will probably end up waiting a lot of your life, and you may never get that opportunity again. And man, have I run with that. Like, as I said, on set, there were times where I made it a specific point to slow things down, to breathe, you know, and it really, sometimes I was just catching my breath, to be honest, but, you know, I would slow down, I would breathe, I would look around and take it all in and really take that mental picture in and say, like, you are here, you are now, like, don't worry about what's happening at home. Don't worry about the phone calls you got to make. Don't worry about the bills you got to pay. Don't worry about those things you got to do. You know this, like, one of my favorite hobbies is riding horses. And there was plenty of time when I was unemployed and not working on shows where I would sit on the horse at sunset, at sunrise, when a cool breeze hit me in the face. And again, take that moment for the here and now that it is, because so few times in life do we get do-overs. So few times in life do we get second chances. And even going back to the previs with Don T doing the Sylvester Stallone, Jason Momoa fight, some things are only one-shot deals, right? So you really have to take advantage of those. And if I had to give advice, that would be it.
It's a theme. You're big on living in the moment.
Absolutely.
And I guess to tie it back to Star Wars, you kind of remind me of Qui-Gon Jinn in Episode 1, where he told Obi-Wan, be mindful of the future, but not at the expense of the present. Or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's pretty spot on.
I think it's great advice. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
I love your outlook. The positivity is fantastic. So let's see if we can make some money for charity. So, yes, I know this is the one you've been looking forward to or dreading.
Well, I'm a trivia nerd, so like I kind of am looking forward to it, but I'm also scared now that I've said that to fail miserably. So.
No, you're a very smart guy and you're knowledgeable, so I think you'll do fine. So you're gonna play my trivia game, Fif-TEA, Fif-TEA. All right, so we're gonna put 50 seconds on the clock.
I love it.
If you get all of them right, you will have earned $50 for the charity of your choice, which is which one?
New Story. New Story.
New Story, yeah.
New Story builds houses in underserved communities. They're marrying two of my passions, which is giving and charitable work and technology. So they're 3D printing housing communities in underserved communities. And I think it's such a brilliant use of what technology can do as a good tool and not as a negative tool, right, not as a negative thing. And so I love what these guys do. They're very low overhead. The money that you donate goes to the charity. So
yeah, they're highly ranked as far as like
reputation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I love them for that.
Are you ready to get into this?
I'm ready.
Okay,
Put it on the clock.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. Since you have had an awesome career as an actor and stuntman, we're gonna take some Star Wars references.
Oh boy.
All right? I'll ask you questions, but some of them will be references to stunts and stage combat kind of stuff. So the common theme is that all of your answers are going to start with the letter
T.
T.
Let me get a sip real quick. Let me wet the whistle.
The clock won't start until I finish asking your first question.
Got it. Let's go.
Are you ready? He's ready. All right, 50 seconds on the clock, please. She's got it. And an award ceremony that honors exceptional stunt performances in movies.
Taurus Awards.
Boom. The planet where young Anakin was a slave to Watto.
Tatooine.
Oh, he's too good. In Return of the Jedi, Admiral Akbar proclaimed, "It's a
trap."
Yes. All right. This A-list world-class movie star frequently performs his own stunts.
Tom Cruise.
Oh, you know it. Some fans of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series have referred to this 6'4" performer as the new Bob Anderson.
Tom O'Connell.
Yes, Tom O'Connell. He got all 5. Yes. All 5 deserves a high 5.
Oh, I'll take it. I'll take the low 5. I'll take the high 5. I'll take all the 5s.
Did he have time left?
28 seconds.
28 seconds.
Yeah, you gotta love that.
You beast. You treated this trivia like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, shit. Oh, love it, man.
That's gonna bring us to our Activi-TEA segment, and I cannot have this guy on the show without asking him to do a lightsaber fight.
Oh my goodness.
Are you down for a few moves? I promise I won't throw rocks at you.
Yes.
Awesome, man. All right, since you're agreeable, let me see if I can use my skills to, you will bring me a lightsaber.
Oh, look at that. He does have Jedi powers.
Good, man. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
All right, look, I don't really have the force, so that's producer Matt. Thank you, and take it easy on me, because I haven't been up against a Sith in a while.
Are you ready?
Oh, I'll do what I must. Cheater!
Look at that!
I told you I
turn
didn't have
off
the
again.
Force. You're so good, man. You're like lightsaber out and
That's
get you out of here
great.
too.
Yeah,
Boom.
look, that's the Force. It's strong.
That is the Force. It is strong with you.
The Force is
strong. You know, here, Darth, they make a pill for that.
Uh-oh.
Now it's back to our parents'
Now
garage.
the fight is not so fair anymore.
Before I let you go, I want to say thank you for being here. It was awesome. But let's have a little publicity, and I would like you to tell everybody, what do you have going on? Are there any old projects that you feel like they should go back that they may have missed, or what do you have coming up?
First of all, I would say just watch Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, go through and watch it if you have the time to watch it continuously. Do it. Yeah, do it. Do it. You know, I had the luxury. It's hard to watch yourself, obviously, right? But I went back and I watched it with Scout, my fiance, and then I would watch it with my family, and then I would, and then I would go back and watch it again. I kind of watched it myself when I just had some downtime, and watching it sort of through, it was a really interesting way to watch. It was like a big continuous piece. And then, of course, Mandalorian 3, I did some stunt work on there. I can't say much about it. Anything in the future.
Mum's the word, but we'll look forward to finding out.
Unfortunately, for future projects, I cannot confirm or deny anything. I will just say no comment at this point. But there is more to be had in the Star Wars universe, let's just say.
Well, we look forward to that.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you again.
Oh, man, thank you. This is so awesome to see you doing this. And I really appreciate you having me on. This
I appreciate you coming, man.
So kind.
And that does bring us to our last segment, which is, of course, for all you lovely people, this is audience Par-TEA-cipation. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Let us know in the comments how you think my guest today has inspired my wardrobe. We'll go through the correct answers, and within a week, we will pick a winner, and you will get a prize from us before the next episode drops. So I'll see you next TEAse Day. Thank you.